Have you ever wondered what it really takes to become a senior engineer? Today, we're going to go way beyond the textbook. We are literally deconstructing a real job posting from Dhoot Transmission to build a kind of career blueprint showing you the exact skills and steps you might need to take.
Let's be honest, job descriptions can be super overwhelming, right? Especially when you're trying to map out your next career move. But what if? What if we looked at this job posting not as an ad, but as a roadmap? It's a direct peek into what the automotive industry is actually looking for in its senior engineers right now.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the opportunity itself. Then we'll talk about what you need in your engineer's toolkit. After that, we'll dive into the three big stages of the role: design, engineering, and testing. And finally, we'll wrap up with how you can use this blueprint for your own career.
All right, so what's the opportunity we're looking at? It's a senior manager role in R&D over at Dhoot Transmission, and it's specifically for their control cable division. And check out the location, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Maharashtra. This puts you right in the heart of India's automotive hub, working on some really critical stuff.
Okay, now for the important part. What do you actually need to have in your back pocket to even be considered for a role like this? Let's call it the engineer's toolkit. These are the absolute must-have skills and experiences that get you in the door.
So, right off the bat, we see this number, 3 to 5. That's years of experience we're talking about. So this tells us right away this blueprint isn't for someone just starting out. Nope. This is for engineers who've already got a solid foundation and are ready for a role that's part leadership, part hands-on development. Let's get really specific about the tools you need in this kit. A bachelor's in mechanical engineering, well, that's your ticket to the game, but it's more than that. You need proven experience in mechanical product design, a really solid understanding of control systems, and actual hands-on work with automotive components. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they're the absolute core requirements.
And now we get to the first big piece of the job itself: design and development. This is where the magic happens. It's all about taking a customer's need and turning it into a real, tangible product that actually meets all the rules. It's that journey from just an idea to a fully fleshed-out component.
This slide lays out the design process beautifully. First, you've got to decode what the customer actually wants and use that to design specific parts. Then you build the technical plan. And this means everything from calculations to tolerance stack-ups, which, is basically making sure all the little pieces are going to fit together perfectly in every possible situation. And finally, you have to make sure the whole thing is compliant with every single industry standard out there.
So the job description specifically mentions DFMEA, and for a very good reason. It stands for Design Failure Mode and Effects Analysis. The best way to think about it is like a pre-mortem for your design. You systematically figure out every single thing that could possibly go wrong before you even build it. It completely shifts your mindset from just solving problems to preventing them from ever happening.
Okay, so you have a design that meets all the standards. Awesome. But is it the best possible design? Well, that brings us to our next section, engineering and analysis. This whole phase is about taking that first concept and refining it, dialing it in for peak performance and making sure it lasts.
You can think of this stage as a continuous cycle of improvement. You start by refining the design. Then you have to make those critical choices about materials and how you're going to make the thing. It's always a balancing act between performance and cost. And then, finally, every single detail gets documented, including the bill of materials, or BOM. That's the complete shopping list of every last part you need.
This quote, pulled straight from the job posting, really gets to the heart of what a senior engineer does. See, it's not just about making things. It's about being a detective, digging in, finding the real root cause of a failure, and then building systems to make sure it never happens again. It's a totally proactive mindset, not a reactive one. Let's move on to the final and maybe the most critical phase, testing and validation. You've designed it, you've refined it, but now you have to prove it can actually survive out there in the real world. This is where, the rubber literally meets the road.
I love that this is called the validation gauntlet, because that's exactly what it is. It's the product's final exam. You start by defining all the rules, creating these super detailed test plans for the product's entire life cycle, the loads it's going to face, the environments it has to work in. Then you oversee the tests themselves. And finally, you crunch all the data to confirm that, yep, this thing is ready for prime time.
So that's the blueprint. We've taken apart the role, we've detailed the toolkit you need, and we've walked through the whole development cycle. You basically now have a clear map of what it takes to be a senior R&D manager in this industry. The big question is, what are you going to do with it? For those of you who were listening and thinking, hey, that sounds exactly like me, well, your next step is pretty clear. The company gave a direct email for applications. If you feel like you're ready for this challenge, here's your shot. And for everyone else, this is the real question to think about. Whether you're a student trying to pick your classes or you're an engineer looking 5 years down the road, how does your personal path line up with a blueprint like this? What tools do you need to add to your own kit? This job posting gave us a map. Now it's up to you to chart your own course.